piece of garbage. There you go. Okay. And over here. That up. It sounds like I heard. Awesome. So that's working great.
The orders today. Yeah. Should be here soon.
All right. It's for the people inside the class. It's funny, you have all this room. And not only do you choose to all sit together, but you choose almost as far back for me as possible. So that's awesome. I mean, nothing's more alienating than teaching online to a place, and I keep looking where the camera is not, because there is no camera on this. Yeah, I know. I'll just keep looking at you. No. I do enough of this in my corporate job. I don't need to do that here. So that is fine. That is good. And I'm pretty confident it's working. Little microphone icons bouncing up and down. So it seems to be picking up what I'm saying. All right. So this is the last intellectual content that's going to come from my brain and into your minds. Isn't that interesting? Except for perhaps when we review the final, because we will review the final when that happens. But basically, after the way this works now is that we have, so I know the dates are slightly off, but we're basically doing the mutating table problem now. I'm not sure. I might actually shift the lab up to here, keep the final quiz to where it is, and then we'll do our presentations on the 9th. And then at that point, you guys consider yourselves done. And you no longer have to deal with me or any of this madness. And I think pretty well. So here's the thing, though. Slightly controversial, I appreciate, but in exchange for me giving you guys an entire week back of your lives, when the presentations are on the 16th, again, looking at a non-existent camera, I would like people here to present. I do not want to be you guys presenting through Zoom. So there you go. As inconvenient as it may be to drag your butts all the way out here, you get at least a whole week back. So that's the deal. So I'll be putting all that to an email, but the presentations of the projects will be there. And I'll talk, by the way, when I'm saying presentations, I'm not talking like ginormous slideshows or anything. In fact, when you actually look at one, it's pretty dead easy. It's like, you're just going to basically tell the class, this is what I was thinking. This is my ERD. And these are some of the challenges I went through. And that's it. So it's like a 5-minute thing. I'm not talking, this is not professional communications 101 or anything like that, right? I don't even really care about how you present, but it is way better and very important for intangible purposes that you're actually here and you're not presenting it online with your freaking camera off. So that's how that's going to work. Okay, so there's that. But let's talk about this. Now, this one, the trigger thing is, this is the climax of the triggers. Okay, it's the most exciting trigger that you ever have done. So because of that, I'm going to do a quick review on the triggers we've done so far. All right, because I know that you all have lives and you probably haven't thought about them for a bit. So coming from the road to temporal trigger, this is the code for the road to temporal trigger. So let's just have a look at it. And so the way that script goes is it drops the table first, creates a quick table. So all this is just BS. It slaps a primary key on, which you could argue it doesn't really need to do. The point of this temporal trigger is to blow up at a certain time, right? If you wanted to blow up because you didn't want Fred to use it, what would be the kind of code you do to stop Fred from updating your table? You probably wouldn't grant that permission to Fred in the first place, but if Fred had that permission, you would revoke, right? So that's how you take care of that, right? So, but if you want to stop someone from doing it at a certain time, what we need to do is we need to have a program, which we've kind of got here, a stored procedure, a piece of code stored on the database, not run from your machine, but stored on the database, in the cloud in this case too, by the way. So your piece of code is sitting out in the cloud. This piece of code takes in 2 parameters, and then it's got a nice little variable, which is just a glorified string. And I'm trying to think, why did I say to print that? That might have just be me just printing it just to debug it. But this is the key right here. If the date or the hour, I should say, is between whatever the start and the end was, blow up, right? That's all that was. That was just a ginormous blow up. Now that program, if I wanted to, I could run it directly. I could call it. Right? And that's the way most programs are called. But what's going to make you more marketable is if you understand that this program isn't run when you call it. It's run at a particular event. It's run on that event. All right. So what's happening is this program, and I would gladly draw it on the board for the three of you that would see it, but this program is attached to this event. So it's attached actually to that object on that event at that timing. So it's going to go before any DML on that object. It's incredibly cool what that is doing. You've now, I don't know whether you guys have encountered this yet or whatever, but this is like an event level program, right? It fires off on an event. And so what it does, when that event takes place, it runs this program, passing these parameters, 17 and 20, 17 and 20, so I'm basically saying fire at, what was that? Let's subtract 12, 5 to 8 p.m., 5 to 8 p.m. And so up here, those two parameters get fed into this program, and then basically it blows up. So if I go ahead and I run all this is all just set up. Off it goes, wonderful. Oh, sorry, this is just me running a select statement to verify my time zone stuff. But anyway, if I do an update, so actually right here, we know, by the way, from this select statement, that the hour is 18. 18 would be between these two dates. So what happens if I try to update? It blows up. And what we can see in the explosion is we can basically see that right there, that 20,000 matches that 20,000. This error message is this error message, right? And the rest of this is just how this interface is telling us the explosion. So it's basically saying, hey, just so you know, this trigger, which is the name of that trigger there, this trigger is basically causing an explosion and it just ripples back, right? So basically the trigger doesn't blow up. It calls a program called block. Block is the thing that's blowing up. And then this error message is what's coming out of block. So lots of really cool stuff there. I called that a temporal trigger, but the whole point really was just to basically expose the idea of some kind of event that you could then basically tie a program to and then cause some action. In this case, just blow up, right? Obviously, there could be other things you could put in there. Like, for example, if you wanted to track who was the last person to update this table, you could instead of raise application error, you could basically grab the person's user ID and plop it into another table. If you wanted to, throw out a log file somewhere else, there's a whole bunch of things you could be doing with this. I just chose explosion because that was the easiest one to talk about. All right, but that wasn't as, and one other last thing, by the way, to bring up with that is that because I haven't said anything different, this will fire off before the statement of an update, insert, or delete. It will only fire off once per statement. The next guy was the audit trigger. And the code to the audit trigger I have put right here. Right? So let's move that out of the way. So the audit trigger. All right, that's clear. I guess I'll get rid of the query result and I'll clear this and I'll run all the setup. So I'm just going to run the setup right like that. I'm going to go. All right. So the drop table is just be dropping an object that I'm going to be using. Then I'm going to create the table. Great. And then I'm going to basically add a check constraint for salary greater than 0. I seem to remember when I was demoing this, I wanted to demo that for timing, right? So the check constraint is just put in there. And maybe I'll talk about that actually as I go. All right, good deal. Then there's an audit table. And if you look at the audit table, now here's the cool part. We basically have a quick primary key. Oh, do I have a primary key? Oh, I didn't put a primary key on this. That's fine. Anyway, so I'm trying to track who did it. And by default, it's the user. I'm trying to track the date, and by default, it is the sys date. So all these two columns will automatically populate. Then I've got these three columns, which I'm going to have to populate. And so I have a procedure that's targeting, by no coincidence, those three columns. That's the parameters. And it does a straight little insert where it takes in this parameter and shoves it into that column, this parameter into that column, this parameter into that column. All right. So straight insert, you guys are well beyond that. And now the exciting part is the trigger. So lines 34 to 38 should be the more exciting parts here, because what we have is we have the creation of a trigger. And we have the timing is the event, or sorry, the timing is after. The event is the update. And the object is employees, right? So after an update of salary on employees for each and every row. So with this is now called a row level trigger. And so what you have is a row level trigger. A row level trigger knows what the row was before and what the row is after. So this moment in time in the database, it is between what it was before and what it's going to become. That's really neat. It's sitting right between that time. And so if I was to say, hey, change the salary to $5 and it was $0, it was $0. It's now $5, right? It has access to both, and it has access to the entire row, which it sort of treats like a record, which if you haven't done a lot of programming, you might not recognize it. But the old is like a record in memory. And so in this case, what I've done, something really cool here on line 37, is this thing should only fire off when the column salary is updated. And if the salary has changed, then I'd like you to call this program, right? I'd like you to call this program. I'd like you to pass in the key, pass in what the salary was, and pass in then what the salary will be, right? That's what I'd like you to do. So let's go ahead and do the update. So I'm going to do a little update here. The update has, of course, no problem. But if I was to now look at this brand new table, brand new because you saw me drop it here and create it here, brand new table, and I go run, what we'll see is that's the user, right? I didn't specify it. So it's now basically gone and done the default. That's the date. I didn't specify it. So it's taken the default. And then these three columns are all being fed in. They're being fed in as parameters here, and they're basically being fed in as parameters there. And so you can see in this case, that's an easy one here, 9,000, 9,900, right? So it went up by 10. Now what's really cool here, if I do a rollback, and now I check in what's my audit table, audit table is empty, right? Because the rollback will end the transaction. So when I did the update here, not only were all the rows impacted by the update sitting in the database in a sort of a transient status, it could be committed or rolled back, but now all the rows in the audit table were also sitting in a transaction. So that transaction actually had 214 rows in it, which is pretty neat. All right. So I can't, did I just do an update? I don't know, I'm going to update it again just for fun. Actually, you know what? I'm going to update it again just for fun. There it is. So now there's a whole bunch of updates. I'm going to go do a select. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and just add a quick little restriction where the employee ID is equal to 100. And so now what I've got is the entire history of 100 salary, all sitting in a nice little audit table. Pretty cool. Strongly encourage you guys to play with that code. I've given you that code. You know, and if at some point you're in the distant future and you don't no longer have an employees database, but you have access to a database, It's not that hard to imagine. You could just create a table and screw with it, right? Right. I try to keep these examples pretty straightforward. Same deal with the explosion too. The explosion would be a pretty easy thing to do on just any table. Just create something and then make it explode. Only an Oracle database could handle that. And I suspect that the 2char and the sysdate and all that, that's also pretty Oracle-ish. But you bet that whatever relational database you have, encounter will be able to do something like this. And now we're going to go to the mutating table. So now we're going to go to the actual content that I actually want to talk about. So that was all review on triggers, and now you should be feeling really comfortable about triggers. Are you feeling comfortable about triggers now? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Look at that. Oh, by the way, here's a cool thing. I'm going to drop the table employees. I'm going to do that right now. Oh my God, no, don't. Oh, it's too bad. Now it's dropped. What do you think happened to the trigger? The trigger's gone, right? The constraints are gone. The trigger is gone. There's, I think this schema is relatively empty. I still have my job stuff out there, but objects. So when you attach a trigger to, right? We got one trigger is the only one in there, and that's the one that was on jobs, right? So a trigger and constraints are all tied to the table. When the table gets blown away, you lose the constraints, you lose the triggers. Okay, there you go. Now, let's have some fun. I'm going to, I just dropped employees, didn't I? So I'm going to go create table employees as select asterisk from the HR dot employees. Basically trying to get my my table back. Cool beans, select asterisk from employees. So this is the business logic we're trying to enforce. I don't think anybody should make more than the president of this company. That's what we're going to do. Nobody can make more than the president of this company. That's one of the most BS things ever. There's so much wrong with that particular piece of business logic, but it's a simple thing for you to understand. And I do want you to understand that in HR databases, there are things like that in there. They're not never as overt as you can't make more than the president, but there's definitely things that stop salaries from jumping too high or jumping too low or some other thing, right? So the business logic, and I'll just put it here. Well, not here, I'll put it here. You can't make more than the president. So what would be the sequel to work out what the salary of the president is? Yep. Why I don't like online classes. Anyway, okay, so from employees, where, and in this case, the job ID is equal to AD pres. This logic is going to assume that there is only one person with AD pres. So if I said, for example, what's the salary of the VPs or even the IT programmers, there's lots and lots of them. But baked in the business logic is the idea that there really is only one salary, one president. And because there's only one president, there's only one salary. So that would be the sequel that we're going to start from. And so what we're going to basically say is that you can't make more than that. All right. So if I was to put this piece of SQL into a program, okay, and remember, I'm not particularly interested in teaching you guys how to be programmers, but I am interested in making sure you guys understand how databases work, right? So this is a program. It's going to blow up. Any idea why it would blow up? When I ran this SQL statement, this 24,000 shows up, like the interface takes care of it, the IDE takes care of it. When I run it as a program, it's got nowhere to take that 24,000. That 24,000 basically, it's got nowhere to go. It's saying, what the hell do you want me to do with this number? I've got nothing to do with it. I need to have an into clause. I need to put the salary into, some variable, right? That's basically what I got to do. But in order for me to put that salary into some variable, do you guys have enough programming, whatever, enough programming, whatever, to understand that I probably need to define the variable somewhere, right? Now, that's not true in other languages. In Python, for example, I could have done this pretty almost like that. But in this world, I do need to have a variable section. And in this language, a variable section starts with a declare. Okay, this is now very, very, very Oracle E, right? But this language is based on another language, and wherever you go, whether it's SQL Server or DB2 or some other one, there's always something like that, a declaration section or some way to deal with variables. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a variable. I'm going to be cool and actually prefix it with a V because I'm old and that's what we used to do. You guys do it however, you just communicate to somebody that this is a variable. I'm going to call it salary. And what is it? It's going to be a number, and I'm going to try and make sure it's about the same as it was in the table. We're going to make that a little bit better in a few seconds, but right now I'm just going to go number. And now what I can do is I can select, instead of some variable, I can select it into that salary. And now notice it finished successfully, right? Pretty cool. So I've selected a column into salary. Notice if more than one value comes back, this will blow up, because you can't have more than one value being shoved into one variable. And if there isn't a precedent, or like this thing should return nothing. If there isn't anything, it'll also blow chunks, right? So it's pretty sensitive. It's pretty sensitive. And if this was a truly programming class, the kinds that I used to teach on this, I'd spend a lot more time on it. But right now, I'm just trying to teach the concept of a trigger. I don't want to spend a lot of time teaching you programming crap. So at this point, just make sure your SQL is solid. You're getting one column, one row back, a scalar query. All right, so that's great. So now you can kind of get a hint as to how we're going to get the salary. So let's now just do the trigger part. So I'm going to go off. I'm going to create another section, and now I'm just going to deal with the trigger part. So the trigger part, it's going to be create. I'm just going to give my heading first, create or replace trigger. And this is going to be, I don't know. I'm just, at this point, I'm just going to call it, yeah, let's call it that, and check sal. Okay, so I'm just going to call it that. You'll understand what the BR mean in a minute. So what we want, remembering the business logic, you can't make more than the president. So the deal is, if someone's trying to update a salary to more than what the president is, we want it to blow up. That's what we want it to do. So we have two choices for timing, really. We have before and after. If we're going to want to deny a piece of DML, it is probably better to fire off before. Like, don't even let the update even happen, right? Because the other choice is to allow the update to happen and then blow up and then roll it back. So in this case, boom, we're just saying, hey, before you touch my table, I don't want you, I'm going to basically make you explode. All right, so that's the timing. The event is update, crap, I always forget this one. Is it update on, update of salary on employees, update of salary on employees. So update of salary on employees. So, right, so that's the timing, that's the event, and that's the object we're tying it to. All right. So before that, then we go begin. So let's just grab the piece of code from in here because we kind of have it. We have a variable. Actually, it needs to declare. I don't know why I forgot that. There's my declare. So that's that piece of code from the previous screen. Find out what that salary is. All right. Now, this I think will have no problem running. So let's just run it. But it doesn't really do what I said, right? Because right now I created a trigger. If I do a nice little update employees set salary equal to salary. So I'm just doing a straight update here. If I just do that update, should have, oh, it does blow up. Good for me. Encounter symbol up. Oh, that was a dumb blow up. Let's try that again. Let's get rid of my shame. Come on, okay, you're out. I don't care about you. And let's do that. And let's clear that and try that update again. All right. All right, so you didn't even compile. Let's try that again. So you compiled. So let's try that again with the update. All right. That's a lot of monkeying around, but I'm not going to explain most of that. Just let it go. The update worked, no problem, right? So apparently for when I did my little update, every single, actually it's before the statement, it threw this this salary into a variable, but we obviously didn't get a chance to use it, right? I want to basically make sure nobody makes more than that. So that means that somehow I need to know what the old salary was, right? Because I want to compare the new salary to the salary. I want to basically say something like, if the new salary is greater than the salary, then, and then we want the blow up. And I'm not going to bother making that a variable. I'm just going to go over here and go blow up. I'm going to say raise application error, you know, salary more than pres. Okay, so, and then you need an end if. Right, now the problem is that a statement level trigger doesn't know what each row is, right? Only a row level trigger knows what each row is. So to make it a row level trigger, I have to go for each row. Now, because I've got for each row, it will now fire off on every single row, and every row will know what it was or what it will become, and this new guy will be present. Now, the problem is this will stop compiling now, or at least compiling cleanly. And that's because, and this is a goofy thing, but this new, this is, it's got to be connected to the SQL environment outside. Basically, it needs a colon. Without trying to explain it too much, I'm basically going to say, if you have new or old inside of your program, the program part, you need the colon, because what that does is it binds this to the SQL part. It's not as obvious to think about this, but this trigger has actually got two major parts. It's got the SQL part, which is rows 1 through 3, and the programming part, which is rows 4 through 15. They're actually run in different parts of the databases, believe it or not. So what I'm telling you is that this colon here binds this this new to out here. That's why when I think you saw this in the previous example, but I can go when new dot salary is different than old dot salary, right? I can actually do that, and I think. Okay, why are you flagging me? Why are you flagging me? Do I have to put you in front of that? I don't know now. I'm going to put you back because I believe you're supposed to be there, but you're still mad at me for some reason. So let's just do that. And you're mad because the new salary doesn't exist. All right, one quick second. Got to go back and have a look at the audit trigger for a second. So I had old, new, colon, old, colon, old, colon, new. That was right after the for each row. All right, I don't know. Not sure why that's how I think it should work. Not sure why it's saying it's got to be declared. Yeah, I don't know. May or may not look at that later. For now, I'm just going to get rid of it. All right. So, but the point is that old and new, as you saw sort of in this example here, right there, old doesn't have a colon, old does have a colon because that is a program. Okay. Anyway, enough of that kind of archaic crap. So now I made this a for each row. So because I made this a for each row, this should have no problem. And now we're getting really close to the mutating table problem. So I'm going to run it. Bang. It compiled cleanly. So this should work, right? So what should happen now is if I do an update, it's going to go into this program. It's going to define this variable. It's going to select the salary into that variable where it's president. And if that salary is greater than the president's salary, it's going to explode. This should work. There's no reason it wouldn't work. It's 6:30. It's taken us half an hour to get to this point. This is the learning point of this entire class. You ready? Here we go. We're going to go boom, and it explodes. And not only does it explode with a mutating error. Have any of you seen John Carpenter's The Thing? 1 and 3. Have any of you seen the more modern version of The Thing?
Prequel?
Is that what it was? Was it a prequel?
Yeah, it was the station that found.
Oh, the station that found it. All right. Do you remember? No one else has to care. It's just you and I talking now. Do you remember when that head kind of fell off and then the legs grew out of it and it walked away? Hey, by the way, you're a young snot. Does the old thing hold up? The John Carpenter's version? When you were watching it, did you kind of go, oh, this is hokey, or this is kind of really cool? What did you think?
I still enjoyed it. I still like the part where he was defibrillator.
Oh, the defibrillator. Yeah. Well, which just before the head, actually. But yes, that was quite something. I just want you to know, I think I was actually about your age when I actually saw it, and it was amazing. So it holds up. So everyone else, you can get a Netflix or something, right? You can probably watch it somewhere. Yeah, you go watch it. It's really cool, and you'll understand this lecture more now that I've actually explained it. So I don't think it's going to give you guys nightmares, especially if you've seen like some of the more modern stuff. I think
the new one
it's
CG on it made it like even more.
The CG on the new one. Okay. So don't watch it with my wife, is what you're saying. All right. I won't then. Is that on Netflix, the new one?
Yeah, that's what I just looked at.
All right. My apologies if you can hear or can't hear, but yeah, so we're talking about the movie called The Thing. So anyway, here's the thing. I guess I want you to sort of try to understand, and I'm probably going to go, and God help me, try to show this off in PowerPoint. All right. So I'm going to go to show this off in PowerPoint. And here we go, opening PowerPoint, and let's do this as a blank presentation and just get rid of this. All right, so pretend that this is a whiteboard and pretend basically that this is a table, which I'm just gonna basically have the employee ID here. And the salary, okay? And so I'm going to basically have 100's employee is the employee ID, and they happen to be at 200. And then, oh, nice. I guess the tab didn't work. Okay. What the hell is going on? I just want that. Come on, just give me some sugar here. This is 200. Hit the enter. Oh my God, getting mad. Wilkins, he's watching the smoke that's starting to come out of my head. Oh, you think, see, you're trying to help me out. That's, yeah, I get it. That's nice. You know what, just to be irritating, I'm gonna go 102 just because. And I'm gonna make you 300, and I'm going to now hit enter again. Okay, that's fine. Good. And no, I don't want that. You know what I actually want? I want 195. There you go, in your face. And I'm going to make it 400. Okay, so this is basically a table sitting in memory. Okay, this is a table sitting in memory. All right, and let's just move you over. And I tell you, I'm not going to bother with lines and crap. That's just a table, just pretend. Okay, so that's a table sitting in memory. Now, looking at the way this is supposed to work, right? It knows, so, oh, sorry, let's imagine we have an update statement. I mean, what I'm going to do is okay, this guy's the president for reasons, you know, I'm just going to flag it, right? So that guy's the president, right? So I'm going to do a little update statement over here. I'm going to say, update the table, set salary equal to $500. Okay, set it to $500. All right. So what's happening now when that update comes in, right? And this is, let's get back up to here. So it's going before the update. It's going to be for each row. It's going to have a variable like V salary, for example, here. It's going to go ahead and grab the president's salary, which is 195. So sitting out here in memory somewhere, actually in the memory of its own program, that's very important. It knows that V salary is 400. So that's sitting out in memory somewhere. It hits that first row, but it knows that this table is mutating because this update is going to cause changes in the table. So even though it's 400 now, there's no guarantee that some update as part of the update statement, this doesn't become 450 or it doesn't become like 300. It doesn't know. It just knows that the only reason I'm firing off is that this table is changing. So it can't trust itself as it goes row by row by row by row by row, because the table is changing. And this was really more obvious when you looked at things like the salary can't be more than the average salary, or not more, but they can't, can't be more than 10% of the average salary or whatever. How is it supposed to figure out the average salary if every single update's changing the actual average salary? It's mutating. So what we need to do is have some object somewhere that fires off before the statement that basically asks the question, what is this guy's salary? And then stores it. Then each row, so before row, let's move this out of the way. Before the row, so I'll put some actual logic here. Before row, before statement, basically, you know, find pres salary. Before each row, compare to pres salary. That's kind of what we need to do. So before this statement, we're going to lock this value in memory. And then as we go each row, we're going to say, are you bigger than 300? Are you bigger than 300? Are you bigger than 300? That's what we're going to do. There's actually two triggers that we need. One is going to be firing before the statement, where it basically says, hey, what's this guy's salary? And then one that's going to fire off each and every row that's going to basically do that comparison. Is this greater than that? Is this greater than that? Is this greater than that? That's kind of that's what we're going to do. Now, the part that you guys are completely ill-prepared to deal with is how do you get this to be stored in memory? Because I'm sure you guys are smart enough to know that when this trigger is finished, that variable will now disappear, right? It's only within the scope of lines 4 through 15. So even as each row commences, that variable will disappear and then be redefined over and over and over again. So in Oracle, as well as in other relational databases, there is something out there in Oracle. It's called a package. It's called a package. You're going to see all the code for this, but this will be the one that you're going to go, this is why he used a package. We're going to go create or replace package. Right? Remember, this is the last bit of content I'm going to give you, my last breath before I pass out. So this is a package, and I'm going to call this package Sal Pack, doesn't really matter. Okay, and in this package, I'm going to have P salary, which is a number. Then I'm going to have an end, and I'm just going to give it the name Sal Pack. Okay, so why are you flagging that as a problem? You're flagging it as a problem when you expect one of the following. Oh, as. Yes. Is that it? That's why you're mad at me, because I forgot as. Okay, so let's clear it. Clear it. Oh, clear that, compile. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to go. Package is compiled. Now watch this. I'm going to go. I'm going to do print statements. So because I'm going to do print statements, I'm just going to set my server output on. Remember that from a long time ago, your Hello World program. I'm going to go begin. I'm going to go DBMS output. Actually, no, not yet. Sorry, I got to print this. So salpack.p salary is assigned 1,000, we'll say. I'm going to print it. And we're going to end. All right. So set my server output on. Let's just run it. I'm going to then run this. I'm going to go. And it's mad at me because salpack used as a variable reference. Salpack is a package. Oh, yeah, down here. That was funny. Yes, you were right. You were right, and I'm wrong. Okay, let's try that again. Let's clear the output and try it again. All right, so there it is. So I've demonstrated now that basically this is a variable. It's stored inside a package called salpack. I assign it $1,000, and I can print it. That should not excite you at all. You're going to think, Grant, well, of course that's going to work. Salpack or P salary is inside of this begin and end. But watch this. This is the most exciting part. I'm going to go, and one program is going to assign it, and the other program is going to print it. All right. So this program is going to assign it. This program is going to print it. So clearing the output. Let's run them both together. Actually, no, let's not run them both together. I'm going to run this one first. I'm going to go. So that guy ran. And now I'm going to go. And that guy printed it. So what I've demonstrated to you is that it is possible within the session, the very same session that your transactions are stored in. It's in this session that I've been able to create a little package with one variable in it that is persistent within the session. As soon as I leave my session, that package is gone along with P salary. But inside of this session, I can grab two programs and kind of increase the scope of P salary. So it's now in both of these sessions, both of these programs. And I can go on, I tell you what, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to basically change it. I'm going to change it right there. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to make him 2,000. Right. So he's going to be 2,000. I'm going to go. So it's been changed. Now I'm going to print him. He's 2,000. Right. So it's like basically three programs all playing around with P salary. Cool. So now we're going to take that technology and bring it into this trigger problem. So in this trigger, the script, I'm going to create myself a package called salpack. Okay, which is going to have the P salary in it. Then this trigger, I'm going to basically copy some of the code. I'm going to make it a statement level trigger whose sole job is to capture the salary. And actually, I don't even need a declaration section here. I can actually just go ahead, grab the salary, and put it into salpack dot P salary. So this trigger will go ahead and stick in the salary into this package. I really wish I could actually have a graphical representation of this, but that's because you can in some IDEs. I could actually show you the memory being popped around, but anyway, that's fine. So let's first of all, let's run that. I don't need to run this again, but I'm going to run that again just for giggles. We're going to run this again. This will now compile the before statement trigger. So before statement trigger, so I'm going to compile it. Boom, and it compiled cleanly. Great. And then in the row level trigger, I can't really, oops, I lost my begin. Thank you. I can't really do the select because of the mutating table problem, but I can basically say if the new salary is greater than Salpak's salary, then blow up. This will be a row level trigger. It's exactly the same name, row level trigger. All right, so here's the exciting part now. Now this update, by the way, shouldn't fail because the salary, I've changed the salary to salary, right? So there's going to be no violation here of a salary increase. So let's just go, and it's fine, right? I think if I change the salary to salary multiplied by 1.1, this probably won't matter either because everybody's salary is getting an increase. Oh, no, it got mad. They got mad, good. Because somebody, that increase probably bumped on one of the rows, bumped that salary more than PSAC salary. There's nothing saying I can't decrease it, I don't think. Yep, I can decrease it all I want, but I can't increase it. I'm going to roll it back now. That is the mutating table problem. So let's look at the actual code that I gave you for this. Oh, sorry, that's right. It's in the it's not a web page. It's a notepad. So what I've done here is I have a package that creates something in memory with basically a variable. There's a lot more information available about packages. Packages are more than just glorified pockets sitting in memory. There's a lot more stuff you can do with packages, but I'm just showing you what you need to know for the mutating table problem. Then I create a statement level trigger, and that statement level trigger is basically trying to, in this case, it's just trying to say, what's the largest salary? That's what it's doing there. So basically it's got a variable, what's the largest salary? And I don't know, prints it out. You could argue whether it needs to do that or not. It then makes the assignment. When I did it, I did bother with these extra steps. I basically I selected it right into the package, right? But now you know what's going on. You can kind of also get a sense as to what I'm trying to do up here, right? This is a before statement level DML trigger, right? That's what that is. So that's a statement level trigger. It'll basically capture the maximum salary. And then down here, what this is going to do is it's a row level trigger. And it's going to basically say if the new salary is greater than the max salary, which you've got stored in the package, then blow up. And that's it. So what I've hopefully done is I've given you guys 3 of the many different use cases for triggers. You now have in your minds a trigger that will blow up on a temporal event. You have a trigger that logs stuff. And now you've got a trigger that can basically deal with changes in the very table that it's attached to. So that's what the mutating table problem is. It only really cares if there's DML on the table that the trigger itself is attached to. If it can't trust the employee's results because it knows that somebody's updating it, then it's mutating. And thus you need a 2-step thing. You need step 1, capture whatever you need from that table. Step 2, compare against whatever that was in that table, row by row by row. That was the most exciting code I've done today. Do you know what I did just before this, by the way? I spent an hour talking to lawyers, corporate lawyers, about software stuff. That drained the crap out of me. So this was much more exciting. All right. So why do I want you to know this? Because I want you to try to put these things into your projects. I want your projects to have a temporal trigger. I definitely want your projects to have an audit trigger because that you're going to find that very useful. And then the mutating table is kind of like, you know, that's the bench press of 300 pounds, man. That's the thing. That's going to prove to me that you actually have a deeper understanding about what triggers are and what they can do. And boy, although Will probably disagree because he probably didn't talk about triggers on your job interview, but it could come up. It could come up, right? You could be saying, hey, oh man, I remember when I was struggling against the mutating table problem, but then I remembered that if you put a trigger on a table and it's being updated, it's going to blow up. So I needed to have a 2-stage kind of thing, and it'll be awesome. You'll be able to, you know, just press them like that. So that really is all I got. I'm going to dedicate the next little bit of time to going through your DDLs so I can understand what you've done. And then, as I said, looking at the roadmap for this, I'm probably going to move the lab to that. Lab work, I'm not even going to bother coming in for that. I'm going to keep that as an open Zoom. So I'll just basically have an open Zoom. I don't know what I'll do. I'll watch Netflix on my other computer, probably try to find the Thing prequel or something like that. And I'll just have the Zoom going on one thing, and I'll just sit likely in silence the entire time. But what's cool about this space that I'm trying to give you is that by now you've got everything you need to basically get the full script run and be able to run it again and again and again and again. You'll have everything you need. I've looked already at your DDL. You'll have everything you need to basically produce it. And then you'll probably have a quiz that also realistically will be probably again not here, right? You'll just do it at home, trying to Google it and getting me angry because the answers aren't always in Google, but it'll be basically something to that effect. There will be open book, open notes, and then you'll come in for presentations. And before the presentations, I'll make sure you got what I wanted you to get out of the quiz. And so there's that. Any questions here or online?
Well, can you hear me?
Ooh, someone's saying something. Hold it.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Say something. Go ahead.
so you'll be there next week, right?
No,
No?
no. I'll be having a Zoom call from my home. But the cool part is with Zoom, that technology, I'll be able, like, if you want to screen share and stuff like that, I can look at your code. We can do stuff.
All right, because I did update my DDL.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to export it. After all the changes.
Okay, well, if you hang on, I can show you now, like, you know, when we're done. Do you want to hang on?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. Anyone else got anything?
So everything with the triggers is all supposed to be into one
Script.
full script.
Yeah. Yeah. The question was, well, do the triggers have to be in that script? And the answer is yes. And also, remember, your scripts have those insert statements. Remember, I put that the you know, putting in your test data. I used to have those in different scripts, and then I gave up. That was too complicated for everybody. So basically, the script itself. What I want you to do is you take your DDL, you export it, remove the documentation, put the drops in, then add the extra constraints, because you probably got for free the primary and the foreign, but I want you to have a unique constraint and a check constraint. And then once you got that done, I want you to insert test data, not a full thing, right? Just enough to basically prove some points. And then after that, you go on a constraint violating spree where you try to insert duplicates and show me that your primary key thing is working. You're going to try and delete a parent, and the children are going to scream. That's your foreign key thing. You're going to try and violate a unique. It's going to look like a violation of a primary key, but at least you're proving you got a unique. And you're going to violate a check constraint. Whatever your logic is, just basically try to violate the check constraint. And then, and obviously, by the way, before that, you'll have one of your triggers in, and then basically just demonstrate that your triggers are working. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Caleb's, hang on. Everyone else, feel free to take off or stick around and ask me questions. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. And Yeah, I got nothing for you. Like Survivor. I got nothing for you. Gonna take your flints. Don't know if you know Survivor or not. Okay, Caleb, let's talk. Let's wrap. As people are bailing out. So what I'm going to do, Caleb, is I'm going to give you a co-host status here. So now, oh, actually, I'm going to also stop recording. The recording, by the way, will be available much sooner than I had it last time. All right, I'm going to stop recording.